Hi there. Thanks for checking out the Los Angeles Times Envelope's Emmy Contender Chats. I'm Michael Ordoña. Today we have an Emmy winner and Tony nominee who is the star of Married with Children and Anchorman, among others, and who now is showing off some strong dramatic chops in Netflix's darkly comic Dead to Me. Christina Applegate.
Hello.
Thank you for coming by.
Yeah, thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Been watching your stuff for many years.
Thank you very much.
So I want to sum up the nut of the show for those who haven't seen it yet, since it's only been out briefly.
Since Friday.
That's brief. Although I bet a lot of people have already binged their way through the whole thing.
I think so.
Your character, Jen, is coping with the death of her husband in a hit and run. She meets Linda Cardellini's character, Judy, at a grief group, and they become very close friends. But secrets keep coming up that change everything. So
basically, yes. That is the gist of it.
So what would you add to that description?
I guess what I would add to the description is that, I mean, yes, nothing is what it seems, but it's more a story about grief and the messiness of coping with grief, and that neither one of them are doing it all that well, and that they're drowning and they find each other. And through all of it, it's also about female relationships, and then it's also a mystery, and it's a comedy, and it's a tragedy, and it's everything wrapped up into one kind of crazy package.
Yeah, I think that you actually hit it when you threw out all those different things that it is. In another interview, I heard you call it a traumedy.
Traumedy,
yeah.
Yes. That's the best way to, because if you say like it's a, it's a dramedy, it's not, because it's not like a it's trauma. These people are going through trauma. Yeah,
I think it's an example of one of the big benefits of this current age of television, where maybe because of the boom of content in places like Netflix, that previously held notions of what a show had to be are going to the wayside. So a show like yours can be a comedy, can be a drama, can be a mystery, and all of those things.
Yeah, and I think at first, I mean, I think, some people might have been put off by that because they want to be able to label it something, and but that's the beauty of it, is it's you can't really label it as anything, and I think there are no rules, and it's just life. It's really like just a kind of a look at life, and even though, yes, there's some, sensational storylines incorporated within it, it really is just a look at like the rawness and the pain of grief and loss and all of, and trying to survive in the world as a woman, as a middle-aged woman, as a mother, as all of those things.
Yeah, I mean, those very specific aspects of being a mother, middle-aged woman.
But when it comes to like a category, yes, we will be comedy.
Yeah.
If there's a category to be had, we'll be in the comedy category.
Yeah, I think Netflix is calling it a dark comedy.
Sure, they could, yes.
Yeah, and we kind of have to do it this time of year, say this is a comedy show.
Yes, it is though. It is, and it's very funny too. So
yeah, it certainly has humor in it. But for me, I think what I really take away from it are those dramatic moments and the themes that run through it. And I wonder actually if that's one of the draws for you, that you get to show off your dramatic chops in some of this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't look at it as like this is where I'm going to get to show something, because I didn't even know what was going to happen in those scenes. I mean, a lot of the times, what ended up happening wasn't even written. It just was the content, like just the person. She broke my heart, and I really loved, the idea of this really broken woman who's, kind of the co-lead of something, who doesn't have like a lot of likable qualities to her, but try to find her heart, and I think we find it throughout.
When you talk about moments not being exactly scripted, I think you've talked before about the message in the balloon.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about how that developed? I mean, how it happened when you shot it?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's written that she opens up the balloon and reads the message and smiles, and like smiles like a warm smile of that. Oh, my baby's having feels, and so every time I would read the note, I couldn't even breathe. So that's kind of where that kind of happened.
Should probably explain to the uninitiated, there's a scene where...
Then we give it away. Oh, it's okay. It's
Well-
fine. There's a balloon. There's a balloon after a memorial service that we have, and everyone put notes to my character's husband. And as the balloon's coming down, you think that and Jen pops it open. You think that she's going to read this one note that's going to reveal kind of everything, and it ends up being a note from her son about how much he missed playing this video game with his dad.
Yeah.
So that was just, yeah, it was one of those things that just like, it just, every time like I almost wanted to throw up. It like it broke my heart.
I think what makes that moment work for me is that it's not some grand dramatic gesture. He's not saying, I miss you so much, Daddy. It's something that's so real, so specific, that I think, oh God, no, it's the exact kind of thing I think my son would probably say.
Right.
Yeah. I know.
Well, usually when people interview me about the show, everyone starts to cry at some point.
Oh God, your show is so funny.
It's so funny. We all start to cry a little bit because it is real, and it's also it's from a teenage boy. So teenage boy, the importance that Liz had for the way she wrote everyone is to write them really from a real place, and a teenage boy is not going to be flowery with his words. That's all he could think in that moment. He didn't want to be there at that memorial, and all he could think was, I miss playing Hades with you, or Hades of War, or New Hades, or some. It's a video game. It's violent.
Yeah,
something like that.
Never played it. Looks
Me
kind of
neither.
like Lord of War. I don't know. Anyway, speaking of Liz Feldman, creator of the show,
Yes.
she said that, I want to get the quote right. She said, Jen was basically you. What did she mean by that?
Foul-mouthed, dark. Yeah.
So-
Not basically. I think I think that I really don't know. You have to ask her what that. I mean, she's said it, but I mean, not basically, but similar.
There's some of you in Jen that you recognize.
Oh, there's a lot of me in Jen. I mean, all the grief and loss and pain, and I've gone through so much. You know what I mean? And we've got it all in there, and it's I related to her with that. Yeah. So it wasn't a stressful thing. It was like I kind of eased into her skin. I'm not mean like that. I don't rage out on people.
Although I'd imagine that's fun to do on camera.
Yes, because I want to sometimes, but I can contain myself in this society
Oh, well.
and not freak out,
Yeah,
break things.
not end up in National Enquirer or something.
Exactly.
Could you point to some scenes or moments that you feel like define Jen for you, that you think that's really Jen, that's who Jen is?
Oh my God. Well, I mean, the thing is, it's you kind of think that she's this one person as you're going along, but I think the scene between Judy and Jen in the second to the last episode, where all the confessions come out, that's Jen, because Jen is not hard, she's in pain. And I think that scene, I mean, I made it very personal by adding the surgery to it, but I felt like it was important that at some point we see that at the core of everything is just a woman who's hurting, and who's not this angry, aggressive, but that's the only way she knows how to deal with all the stuff that's inside that hurts, and that she's vulnerable. And I think in that moment was Jen.
That
I mean, it was me, but it's also her.
that felt real to me. The revelation. Again, I don't want to say too much.
No, it's so hard.
Yeah.
Especially that scene. It's like, no, we can't.
Right. But it made sense personally, what it meant to her marriage, what she'd been through. Yeah, that kind of filled in a lot of blanks. So
Yeah, and I think that's what I want. I needed when I brought the idea of having Jen having gone through the same thing that I had gone through, is really because I needed to know it couldn't just be that they weren't getting along, and then that scene at the door happened, and with the get out and all, all of, like, there has to be something that builds for a long period of time before people get to that point. And I didn't want it to be typical, and I thought, we don't really see people talking about that too much on television, and if we do, it's it's me 10 years ago saying to everyone, it was the greatest thing I ever did, you know what I mean? And like, really the reality of that is really personal, and it can and very painful, and it sticks with you for a long time. So I just wanted her to have something, and because I knew that so well, I just thought that would be the most like organic thing that we could do with her.
I thought it really paid off, excuse me, because when the idea is introduced much earlier in the series, it's almost casual. You basically say, oh yeah, I went through that. And I think anyone watching that and paying attention is going, but that's a really big deal. And
That's
then,
Jen. Jen doesn't big deal things. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
She doesn't want to she doesn't want to talk about that. That's kind of the thing about Jen, is that don't make me get vulnerable. Because if I get vulnerable, I'm going to lose everything.
Right.
I won't be able to function in the world. So I have to be hard. I have to hit you before you hit me. And that's the only way that she can survive. And so that's why in that scene we did it that way, that it was like, nah.
Yeah, tossed off.
Okay, come on. It's no big deal. No big deal. Nothing's a big deal. Nothing's a big deal. I can handle it. I can handle it. You know, we know those people. And we know at the core of them that there's something like very, very deeply broken.
Which really makes it pay off when you do open up that way. I always found it surprising in good ways when she would open up a little bit more, like when she says to Judy that essentially that she loves her, you know, someone I love. I thought, oh wow, she just said that out loud, did you?
Yeah. But then she also, like in the car after she's at the police station after seeing the photographs, and she's like, I just really need you. God, that's gross. It's like she can't even commit to like saying, I need you right now.
Right.
She says, I need you. I don't remember the exact line, but it was like, I just really need you right now. It's like, oh, it's so gross. No, because that to her is like weakness. She's hearing weakness in her own head, and she can't. Because it's that fine line. She will completely fall apart and lose everything, and won't be able to parent, and won't be able to work, and won't be able to drive, and won't be able to do anything. And that fear of complete like just falling completely out of the realm of reality is so frightening to her.
So that was your idea, to bring that specific medical condition into the character?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, not to shine the apple, it's pretty brave to make that connection for a character you're playing.
I don't know. I don't know if it's brave. It's just like a need. I think it needed to be said in the way that it was said. For not only for Jen, because that I needed something like that, and like I said, like because I can relate to it and because I know it so well, and that all that dialogue came out of the conversation I had with Liz about it, but I wanted to also, you know, on a level of like stepping back from the content of the show, be able to speak to all the women who have gone through it and to say, it's okay that you feel this way too.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen it in a TV show before.
I never have. I mean, I'm sure it's out there, so I don't want to be like presumptuous in saying that like we're the first, but I've never seen it, and I've never seen it in a way where someone really goes to that place about it. So I wanted to because I know what other women feel like who have gone through it, and we all share the same common theme.
Now, you knew Liz Feldman before?
Yes, we, Adam McKay had an idea for a show a few years ago for me, and we brought in Liz to write it, and then it's not that Liz didn't, it was just like, by the time we finished with like the synopsis and kind of what the show is about, what we were going to do wasn't like funny in the world anymore. At the time, like politically, it was more like a show about sort of the political landscape, and then which was like kind of comical for a second, and then it became not comical.
Okay.
So I just kind of said, I love what you've done, Liz. You're an amazing writer, and to everyone, but I was like, none of this is funny anymore. So, and they all agreed, and that's how we met.
I don't know that show, so is that like?
No, it never happened.
I mean, I'd never even heard of it.
No, no one would have heard. It was like in development. Like we were literally like had one meeting about it, and then Liz went to go like write it to then maybe we would do it with Gary Sanchez Productions. But it just, once it happened, we would just all went, yeah.
Became a little too real?
Things changed.
Okay.
Out there in the world wasn't funny anymore.
I'll take your word for that.
Yeah.
Okay, so these dramatic elements are a very serious part of the show that stays with me. But my favorite aspect of the show is your relationship with Judy.
Yeah. It's pretty great. We love doing those scenes because that's when we also didn't have to cry. and we could talk about nonsense and be funny. And also those were when we could really like, at the end of the scene, like improv and do stuff because they were like very loose about what we did. So there's like probably 10 minutes of footage of the scene of us smoking pot on the beach, of us just improving two stoned people. And it's like really hilarious. You'll never see it, unfortunately, because it wasn't, it's only 30-minute show or 26 minutes or whatever it is. I don't know. They don't have commercials on Netflix, so I don't know how it works over there. But yeah, I mean, those were like really fun scenes to shoot because could just go like, just hang out and be friends.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the horrible thing that happened to my husband.
No.
Yeah, you two have a great rapport. It's really fun to watch.
Thank you.
And it's another thing that I think sort of gets paid short shrift in a lot of shows and a lot of movies. Just assume these two are friends. But this show shows you becoming friends. It shows you bonding.
Yeah, and it's very hard for Jen to have that.
Right.
Because that's also a sign of weakness. Like having a close girlfriend is a sign of weakness. Mm-hmm. Do you know, like to her, all of the thoughts of like what's a sign of weakness is talking it out with a friend. Like that would never happen. But at some point she found it a necessity, and Judy allows her to be who she is, to be broken, and to talk about facts of life.
Well, Judy's so much that person who would welcome your.
Well, we know
parts.
her motivation is bizarre, but
yeah.
But somewhere in there, they do really fall for each other in a friendship. I think it's a real friendship.
I desperately want you to say that you and Linda Cardellini are friends in real life.
We are.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and people have asked, like, do you guys really like get along? I'm like, you don't understand. We get along actually, like we're closer than even Jen and Judy. I mean, well, Jen and Judy is complicated, so I can't really say that we parallel. But no, Linda and I. We needed each other, through this shoot. It was a tough shoot. It was a long shoot, a lot of hours, a lot of stuff that we had to go kind of raw for, and we really have a bond that's just I've never had that with a partner ever, and I'm madly in love with her. She is such an incredible human being, and I feel just lucky that she's doing this with me.
Makes all of us Linda Cardellini fans happy to hear.
Yes, we should be. She's a great lady.
So yeah, a lot of the stuff you guys do is some of the funniest stuff in the show. I think of you two at the retreat.
Grief Street.
Yeah, that was
a
lot of fun.
I like that episode because it's like was nice and like it was more comedy driven that episode. So it was like we got to have like fun, and then it goes dark again at the end. But at least for most of it, we could have fun, and I loved like just. Getting to see their relationship in an environment where they're not talking about so much heavy crap. And also like just having Jen just progressively just get drunker and drunker and drunker through the whole episode was really fun to play. And Steve, who's amazing, Steve Howie, who's just so funny.
Oh, is he the hunk?
Oh, yeah. It's fabulous. I had so much fun working with him. He really is fantastic and a fantastic human being. It was a good one.
Which is also our introduction to Nick.
Yes.
And this is embarrassing to admit because it's kind of my job to know actors and stuff like that. I'd never seen him before.
I hadn't either.
Really?
I hadn't either. But I'm like that. I'm the guy who like I literally like watch Grey's Anatomy and that's about it. So I just telling you right now, it's kind of all that's all I know.
His name is Brandon Scott.
Yes.
And he's had like 60 other credits, so I really should have known who he was. He's great.
He's fantastic. And again, a just phenomenal human being. Like that's just, everyone on the show is phenomenal human beings. And that's what you want first and foremost is to have people who are good and kind. And so I really adored him.
And he can sing too.
He can sing.
But that thing about wanting to be around good human beings, you've talked about this before too, how being a mom now, it's really, being a parent, they're the center of everything, the center of the world. And so you have to choose very, you have to choose very carefully when you're going to say, I'm going to take serious time away.
I'm not going to go away from my daughter for anything that isn't of like the highest of quality. And that's not just the script, that's the people, mostly the people. Because, you get one turn at this like whole thing. And to be in an environment that's miserable with miserable people, it's just such a waste of time. So I prefer not to do that.
So I take it you're champing at the bit is season 2?
I don't know.
It has to happen. Netflix.
I mean, I don't know, but yes, of course, we'll all be there.
Yeah, I mean, season 1 definitely leaves it in a place where season 2 could be very interesting.
I mean, of course, Liz has had to think about what that would look like, and she's told me what it would look like, and it's crazy. Sorry.
It's got to happen.
A little crazy. Like the last episode, nothing is what it seems. That's all I can say.
Okay.
Think one thing, but it might be another. Who knows?
All right, you've mentioned Adam McKay, and McKay and some dude named Will Ferrell are listed as.
Not familiar. Not familiar with
Never
that guy.
heard of that guy. He looks like that
Wait,
guy.
was he in a movie with me? A couple movies with me? I think
he had a small
He had a
supporting
small
role.
part. Okay.
Big Anchorman fan, of course. But what are they really involved in the show, or is it just it's Liz's thing and they're just supporting from behind?
Well, it's Jessica Albaum's thing. It's Liz's thing, but Jessica Albaum, who runs Gloria Sanchez, which is part of Gary Sanchez Productions, which is Adam and Will's studio company thing that they do. She's the one who found this, and so it's like she's our mama. She was on set every single day.
Oh, great.
And the boys, they're so busy, but they're they check in. You know what I mean? They oversee from afar.
You and Linda Cardellini are listed as EPs on the show.
Yes.
So, what is your involvement in that regard? What do you do?
I let Liz do whatever she wants. I make jokes about it on the set, like we need to go. Let's get this going because you guys know I'm one of the EPs. Like I make a joke about it. It just gives me the ability to interject ideas, which you should be able to anyway in a collaboration. But for the most part, when you have someone who has such a clear vision like Liz Feldman does on the show, you just trust and you step back. So I don't want to get in there. I mean, I have approval over things, and that's just basically what it means. I'm not in the office on a speakerphone saying no, I'm not doing that.
You got to fire that Applegate.
Yeah.
No, give that Applegate a raise. No, fire.
I would do that.
Do you have scenes or moments in the show that are that you can point to as your favorites or that are most memorable to you? Because when I was taking notes on it, there are a lot of things that jumped out as being particularly funny to me, like the choir kids doing "You Sacred Thing."
Yeah. You sacred thing.
Yes.
I believe in miracles. Things that stick out. I mean, it's weird because there's so much. There's 10 episodes and there's so many moments that are pretty fabulous. I love the kids. I love Max. I love everybody. But what sticks out as far as during the experience and stuff is that the scene when we're at the restaurant confronting Bambi is a 10.5-page scene, and we shot it, the master, as of a play. So to me, that was the most daunting and frightening day because it was an 11-page day or something, which is just you don't do that many pages in a day. But it was literally one long scene, and they had to we were so scared. Lynn and I were so scared that we weren't going to be able to do it because it's a lot. When you're doing other stuff, if you're doing a play, you work on it and you work on it, and then you do the whole 2.5 hours with no problem, right? But when you've got no rehearsal, it's very daunting. And they got us teleprompters because they were so afraid that we weren't going to remember our lines, and they wanted to shoot it all the way through. It was just we got so freaked out about it, and yet once we got in there, it just happened because it was written so well and had so many different, but there was so much happening in this one 10-page scene.
I think that scene captures a lot about the show. I mean, seeing
think
where all three of those people are in those moments. I also want to praise the actress who played Bambi.
Oh, she was fantastic.
Yeah, Olivia Macklin.
Yeah.
I have to really give it to your casting director, Russell Scott, finding her and Kyung Sim as Pastor Wayne.
Sherry, too. They're really, really good people.
Yeah. I mean, they nailed it. Pastor Wayne, he's that guy.
I know. He's amazing.
We've all known that guy.
He's amazing. We can't let him go. We're going to have to
bring him back a lot.
Oh, I mean, there's a lot of people that will be intertwined a little bit more in the storylines, I think.
what I wrote down about.
I can't tell you anything.
It's a big secret. What I wrote down about Bambi was that she was painfully cute because she was so open and
Yeah.
trusting.
Yeah, because she can't be typical. You know what I mean? You get the name Bambi, and you're like, some bimbo and who's kind of dumb, and she couldn't be. She had to be earnest, and it has to be like heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Like all of it. Like when she gets told that Ted's dead, it needs to be heartbreaking
Right.
for her, and it's and also for Jen to like almost feel bad that she's treating her in this way, just to bring different kinds of levels in it. That no one wins that.
No.
No one won in that scenario.
Yeah. You were very fortunate to have Judy there actually to get the information that you got, but yeah, nobody comes out happy from that or
No.
satisfied.
Except for that Jen keyed someone's car. Just someone's car.
Yeah. And then, just keep a golf club out of her hands.
Oh, God. No more of that.
You have answered everything I have for you for this show, which I think people should watch because it's pretty good. Now, here comes the lightning round.
Oh, boy.
Yes. These are just questions that we ask of all of our guests. There are right answers and wrong answers, though, so there's an ejection seat there. If you get them wrong, you're going to be fired through the roof.
Okay.
Okay, so the first one is, what's the last show you binge watched?
Okay, I try to binge watch things, but for some reason my Apple TV always stops working in the middle of like a really good like fourth episode, and then I give up. I get mad, so I never get to binge watch anything. I'm watching all the Fosse Verdons right now, and I'm caught up on my Grey's Anatomies.
Okay.
That's it.
Apple TV's got to treat Christina Applegate
I'm
right.
not going to say this. I'm not going to say this, but it's usually my Netflix that does that, and when I'm watching something.
All right, we'll cut that part out. What's the worst job you've ever had? And the thing is, for you, it has to be kind of an acting job because you've been acting since you were like 7 or something.
Yeah, I've never had a job. I worked in a gym when I was a teenager. I really enjoyed working there, but I was also on a show at the same time, so I don't know if that counts as a job. I don't have one. I don't have one. I'm going to say that. Like, they've all been pretty good.
Well, get her. What show do you wish got more Emmy love, past or present? Do you think really deserved more awards recognition?
I think, well, I don't know why, but like my brain just is like, I wish Breaking Bad was still on. That's all. That's my brain just went like, I think they won a bunch of stuff.
They did.
Okay, well.
But more.
But more. Like we could just have another award show just for Breaking Bad.
Okay.
Because I think that was probably the most perfect show I've ever seen.
Ah.
To me. Perfect show.
Well, there you go, Breaking Bad. You have a huge fan here.
Yes, huge fan.
All right, the last one. Who do you think will win the Game of Thrones?
Oh my God, because I haven't seen it. I've never seen the Game of Thrones. I'm so sorry.
You can make something up.
So sorry.
Ron Burgundy.
Ron Burgundy should win the Game of Thrones.
Yeah, there you go.
There's an actual game on it? I'm serious.
The question is who will come out on
Is
top and win
anyone
the
from
Iron
Grey's Anatomy in it?
Yeah, we're going to put Grey in it. I don't know. I actually interviewed them. I don't even.
It's okay.
All right. Thank you so much for coming by. I really appreciate it.
Thank
And congratulations on the show. It's really good.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
To see this entire interview or to watch any of our other Emmy Contenders chats, please go to latimes.com.